So yeah, up here in Darwin, how's it been so far?
Yeah, Darwin's beautiful. I've come here many times with Adelaide United, and obviously I remember in the past when we come here in the NSL days with South Melbourne. So yeah, it's a really beautiful community, and they're thirsty to see the football, and they're thirsty to get close to football. So it's nice to come out to this community, to this region, and be here. They're so welcoming. It's fantastic.
Is it a trip you look forward to? Because as you mentioned, people do turn up. They do want to watch.
Yeah, of course. I think doing this is part of football in this country, and I've spoken a lot about it, about us being ambassadors of the game and promoting the game in regions like these. So I think it's great to come out here because you see the support and how much people want to get behind you. So I love it. I'm sure the players are excited about this game because it's got to do a lot with next season. So yeah, we're just living every moment at the moment. We're enjoying our sessions. We had a session yesterday in the afternoon, which was great. And now just getting ready for the game.
For yourself, it's the start of a new chapter, sort of the dawn of a new era for Brisbane Roar. How has sort of these first few weeks been for you?
It's been great. I've been absolutely, I can't believe the playing group, the energy, the intensity of training has gone right up, and I'm really happy with their learning and that they're also having fun at the same time and working hard. That's a big part of training, and it's looking good at the moment. I'm happy with some of the things that they're getting on board, some of the changes that we want within the team, with the way we want to play. And yeah, I'm just looking forward to see what they've actually taken on board from these 4 or 5 training sessions we had, and to take steps forward from there.
Just a bit more on the squad, you know, it's sort of just come in and inherited it. How do you find it? How is it looking so far?
Yeah, look, having looked at the squad before I came, I thought there always was a lot of potential, and I think a lot of the results probably were hiding what they're capable of. And look, in my perspective, and every coach has an opinion on how he thinks he can fix things or what they need to better for the team, but there's only so much you can change in 4 days. You know, you can't change the world. I'm not Harry Potter, that's for sure. And I think that just some of the things we've tried to instill in them, I've liked that they've grabbed onto it, and I'm listening to some of the language even that I speak. That means they're speaking it. That means they've grabbed onto what we want. So that's great. It's going to take time. It's going to take time, but I think, you know, from the training sessions and evaluating them and assessing what they've done so far, I'm really happy, and I hope that they can perform well and take a good step tomorrow night.
Your coaching career has taken you all across the globe. What do you sort of take out of that? Are there any sort of experiences that you've learned at any of the other countries you've coached at that you can implement here at the Roar?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. The grass isn't always greener over there, and that's what we tend to think. Young players think, I've got to get across to Europe. Coaches think that. And it's not easy. It's super competitive, and every club has their problems and their situations that you've got to deal with. And yeah, in many cases, I was working at clubs that, especially in terms of building a good culture, a working culture, and so on, and the problems that exist in clubs, it's everywhere. So coming here, and all the experience I've had overseas, yeah, the first thing I'd focus on is the group of players and the people, and creating an environment where they can do their best working. Because I think you need to come in, be able to work hard, enjoy it, because that's our passion, football, and have fun as well, you know, really enjoy it and do the best you can and learn every day, learn to improve, get better every day. And yeah, to create that, you need the right people that are going to believe in it, and all of us to have one shared vision. And I think they're getting an idea. I can't share the vision to everyone. This is this year's group, where we want to go next season, but this is part of next season. And the vision is that, you know, it's an important game. We need to play well, we need to perform well and win. So yeah, it's a tricky one. It's a tricky one for me, coming in with 4 days, 1 game, and then you got to lay off and you need to rebuild. But it's also been a great experience to be able to work with this group of players and see what we require for next season.
As you sort of alluded to there, you know, the Australia Cup can be a springboard, can really build a lot of momentum. What would, you know, making it to the round of 32 and having a good cup run mean for you in this squad?
I think it's super important when you're playing in the A-League, because it sort of sets out your pre-season as well, in terms of playing really good games and competitive games that mean something, but also you're competing for silverware. I'm a competitor, and I want that from every single player, to compete, to win something. And I've been lucky enough to win a few cups, especially while coaching as well, as an assistant coach. So I know that feeling, and I know what it created for a club, winning the FFA Cup, the Australian Cup. So to me, I think everything that's a possibility to win, you go out there to play to win for. And I want to see that in every player. I want to see that competitiveness. I want to see that in their character. And that's going to mean a lot for us, what we're rebuilding and who's going to be here to fill the rebuild.
On the match itself, what do you make of Wellington? How do you see it sort of playing out tomorrow?
Yeah, look, Wellington's a good side. They had a super season, the previous one, because I watched a lot of the A-League games abroad. They were on at a great time. I'd get up in the morning for breakfast, and with my boys I'd sit down and have a coffee and watch the A-League. It always brought back good memories. So we always were big supporters of it, and I watched them play really well. This year they've had their challenges, but they've got some really good players. They've got good strengths. I just think we've focused on ourselves for these 4 or 5 days, because I want to put in place certain principles and certain ideas, and their main focus was that. Obviously you look at their structures, you look at how they play and how they do things, but it's all about our identity and the way we want to play.
I'll just ask a question. Let's go a bit back with Brisbane. The project here, why Brisbane? Why did you choose the club?
Yeah, it had, the last 3 or 4 years, it's had its challenges, no doubt, and a lot of people have asked me that question, especially leaving Europe to come back home. But I think it's a massive club. I think it's a great region. Having played here, and again, going there with Adelaide United and playing against Brisbane was always tough. They had an identity, a football identity, which I absolutely loved. It was horrible to play in Suncorp because it was so tough, not only because they were so good, but also the conditions and the atmosphere. You loved to come because you felt like it was a European game, but you knew, geez, by the 70th minute, you thought, how are we going to get through this? So it was always tough, and I remember that. So when Kaz and Zach came to me and mentioned about this opportunity, I had that vision. I remembered that. And in my eyes, I felt like that's what we need to bring back. So there's certain ways to do that, and I believe we can do that. And the most important thing is that with Zach and Kaz, we're aligned. We know how we want to get there. We know how we're going to do it. And there's 3 pillars we really need to look at, and that is 1, our culture, lifting up those standards, creating that environment that we want. 2 is the identity, bring back a distinct football identity that's going to entertain, that's going to make people excited to come to the ground. And then the other one is engaging really with the community. I remember the early days of the A-League. When we did that, it was fantastic. It not only works one way in terms of having to bring the people back, but I want the players to feel the people. I want the players to feel what football means to the people and connect and bring them back. Because I think together with what we're trying to build, with our environment, with our identity, that energy together, we can create something special. If we can create something special and we can get people back to Suncorp and we can get people supporting the Brisbane Roar, it's great. Have a great time watching us. So that's the vision I see. That's how I see it. And when we were talking about it, I was just taken away by this opportunity. I never envisaged myself at that point in time that I was going to come back to the A-League. It came out of nowhere. And just thinking about this project and what can be done, I was super excited about it. So I knew it was time to come back.
Maybe a bit more of a broader question. You spoke about the grass being green on the other side, or not so much. We've got a lot of good Australian coaches in the game at the moment, obviously. And Kevin Muscat, Tony Socceroos. You've had a chance to be in Europe yourself. Does it feel like a bit of a golden generation of coaches at the moment, Aussie coaches?
I believe in Aussie coaches. I reckon what we did with our coaching courses, probably back when even Hamburger was involved and the coaching courses were redeveloped and changed, and the game has changed and our coaching courses changed with it, and it's brought about a real modern way of coaching. Now, when I say that, leadership doesn't change. Okay, leadership is leadership, and that's one component of it. But in terms of football, to implement, to create an identity, whatever that identity is that you believe in, because there is no wrong or right with the way you want to play, as long as it's very clear. That thought process and teaching coaches and developing the type of players we want to develop, I think you can see over long term, it's been fantastic for coaches, and we're developing not only good young players that can go overseas, because lots going overseas at very good academies, but we're developing coaches as well, and that's fantastic. And I think, especially for Australian coaches, because from my own personal experience, back in 2017 when that opportunity came up with John Van Skip, I was like, great, I've got to go, because it's very hard, it's very competitive in Europe. You know, for every one of us, there's another 100 of them, so it's not easy. But the one thing we've got, and I'm going to bring it back, is that Aussie mentality. Whether we're players or we're coaches, we've got that Aussie mentality that we'll fight, we'll do our best. We don't care if we're competing against the best. We're going to be the best we can be. And the amount of work Aussie coaches put in, that's why we can get to there. You've got to put in the hard yards. And I believe if you put in the hard yards, you get your experiences, give it a go. Give it a go, because it is a great experience. It's not easy. It's definitely difficult, but it's a huge experience that builds your coaching up and gives you, lots of belief in what you can do.
Just a final question from me. This game's come at an interesting time at the end of the regular season, and good for you with you being new in the role. What's the timeline kind of from here? You've got obviously one game at a time, you want to be focusing on this, but then in the off season, going all the way up to the first game of next season, what are the kind of key milestones, what are the key things, key priorities for you leading up to the next season?
Yeah, look, it's been pretty full on the last 5 days. It's been like we're working around the clock 24 hours. It's been amazing, and at the same time trying to really focus in on this game, because it is an important game. Look, it's got a lot to do with planning a really good pre-season, which this is the importance of this game, because then we can really put in a proper plan that we want, but at the same time recruiting and making this team very competitive, finding the right balance between our young players that we want to develop and we want to nurture and we want to give them a good opportunity, and at the same time bringing in a couple of experienced players that will make a difference and will help also develop those youngsters within a match. So there's a lot of work going on behind the scenes. We definitely mean business. There's no doubt about that. And it's just about doing the right things at the moment, planning as much as we can a long way away before we start, and then probably getting back into training on the 1st of July.
Just one last one from me. You've mentioned identity a few times. Just wondering, what does that look like for you? What can fans expect to see when Brisbane Roar take the field?
Look, I was being very attack-minded, so I want my teams to attack. I want my teams to create opportunities and score goals. I think the game is about scoring goals, but also to have a fire in the eye and intensity of, when you lose the ball, you're going to win it back as soon as possible. You're going to be aggressive and just as attacking when you don't have the ball. So, at the moment, I look at that, and we've got to be a little bit balanced for this game. We're going to have a super tough pre-season. There's no doubt about that. We've got to work very hard to create that identity. And I mean only from a physical perspective, but Australia gives you that opportunity. You've got 3 months to create that, and that's gold. You go to Europe, you've got 1 month. You go to a national team, you've got 6 days. So that's what I'm looking forward to, but that's the sort of identity I want to create, one that's going to be exciting, that's going to get the crowd on their feet and create that energy. All together we're going to create that energy where we're going to be super excited to go in and win games and score goals, because, like I said, that's what the game's about.